Good evening, everybody, and welcome to StatCheck episode 155. It is September 30, 2025, and this episode is titled What Went Down at the VS-LGT, which I'm realizing now makes it look like the Victoria's Secret LGT, which is definitely not what it was. But it is indeed Liam's conquering ground. I think we're allowed to call it that after 3 years in a row of utter dominance, 4 years in a row of no name winning it. I think that seems like a reasonable place to go. I think if you go 30-0 at a tournament across 3 years, you get to say it's yours. It's your event. Like what else? What else are we meant to do? So I hope everybody's having a great day. We're going to be chatting about LGT. We've got stats and figures. We'll talk probably a little bit about the Challengers Cup that went down because some funny storylines came out of that. And overall, it'll just be the good old usual us talking Warhammer. Obviously, I was at the LGT. I had a pretty solid performance. I came fourth out of 1,060 players. I'm very happy with that. Always heartbreaking to lose the second to last hurdle, but I've got my story and I'm sticking with it. It's the second best place I could have gotten because it meant that I got to get the train home that night and not have to stay an entire whole day, an extra day in London. So if I was going to lose a game, I was rather it was that one than the finals. So that's my desperate clinging to an excuse, and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. Just jumped right up out of there.
Exactly. Me and Nas jumped in a taxi and ran. It was great. We didn't even sit and watch. But before we get too far into that, because I will talk a little bit about how my run went, Nathan, Anthony, how have you guys been? Anthony, start us off.
For the first time in a very long time, I played a Drukhari game, so that was cool. It's fun. I don't think it's like great, but it's good enough. It's pretty good. You can have fun with it and not be pissed. So that beats every other time that I've tried to play Drukhari this edition. So that was cool. I'm definitely not going back though. There's like 3 armies I would play before I played them full time. So let's get the hot take out of the way. Hellions are overrated. And that's all I have to say. The rest of my weekend was really good. We got to I got to see AdMech, like modern AdMech played a couple of times, and that is very, very scary. And as a surprise tool that'll help us later, AdMech is pretty good now. So
it was very interesting watching them perform at LGT and just be like, yeah, I'd rather not play against those guys. Someone else can kill those for me, please.
Yeah, they be laying waste to stuff, dude. That army is scary. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Had a good weekend, hung out, did some outside stuff, did some playing games.
Have you scheduled up your chat about Drukhari with Pao yet?
Yes, at some point this week we're gonna do that, but he's busy with work and I am also, so we're doing our best.
Fitting it on the schedule as and when you can. Yeah,
yes.
Sense.
But we are committed to doing it. He's been playtesting a bunch. I playtested more than once, which is a lot for me with Drukhari.
That is a lot for you.
Yeah.
Well, not compared to the idea that you had for us next time. There's a data slate, but
next time is our own special brand of suffering that has days devoted to it. Strap in, folks.
We'll announce that closer.
We'll tease that when we get closer to the whatever the next slate is.
Nathan, how about yourself, man? How you been getting on?
I'm doing great. I ran an RTT on Sunday, which was fun. And, it's fun to run a full day event and just kind of sit there and watch them self-moderate a little bit. They're very quiet. GSC won the RTT, which was fun and amusing. Yeah. Other than that, haven't really been doing a lot. I've been painting up some Eldar and some Imperial Knight stuff, because I've got just projects kind of sitting in various states of assembly and not enough painting, so moving into painting with all of it. And then because a bunch of people were excited about Drukhari, I opened up my army bin that has all my Drukhari in it for like the second time in 10th edition and was like, what all is actually in this giant box full of stuff?
Dude, the models I played with on Sunday were so dusty. Just so dusty. Like... dusty.
Yeah. I am not excited to open that box and like take out a model. They were painted bright pink, so they're going to be real dusty. And
yeah,
it's also the very first army I ever painted, so that'll be a trip down memory lane to look at my inability.
Wow, I couldn't paint models badly if I tried.
Yeah, a lot of them probably like. There's a lot on my newer armies. A lot of them get painted with helmets because I hate painting faces. And Drukhari is 90% painting faces. And I didn't want to paint eyes, so all their eyes are aglow.
Nice.
and pain eating, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to start beating people up with Drazar again because I have seen enough people taking him in lists that I'm kind of jazzed about it.
I played him.
Yeah. Everybody seems to be putting him in stuff, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see him do things, and then I'm very excited to actually put that army back on the table since it was the first army I competitively played.
Nice.
And the rules have me just excited enough to probably play the bad detachment, but also play the good detachment.
Reaper's Wager is so fun. I wasn't even playing Harlequins with it, which makes it like even more fun, but such a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to play at least a few games with the combat drugs detachment just because.
Yeah.
I don't know. They took the 9th combat drugs table and put it in 10th, and we're like, this
they made
seems
Bile
fine.
turn by turn, right? That's just
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's okay. And that's all right. And then that's it. I don't know. I'm really excited
probably
to play
do
that
a
army.
full breakdown of the Drakari book once it's officially released in a couple weeks and people have had a chance to get on the table a little more. We'll do our full breakdown like we did with the Knight Codex because people seem to enjoy that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably get on doing the full Knights retrospective soon at some point as well, since Jeremy's doing the Votan one. All right. I suppose I should talk a little bit about LGT. So, Anthony, why don't you tell people what I ran at LGT?
So, Innes is a man who makes questionable decisions sometimes. I wrote Innes was like, I think I'll just play like Triple Redemptor Stormlands, and I was like, oh, I could write that real quick while you're busy smashing nerds with world leaders, and then he'll like refine it obviously because I don't write marine lists like that. And we'll see how it goes, And I wrote it, and then I sent it to him, and then he took that. I have to assume just out of like copied the Discord message and then pasted it into BCP and didn't change anything. And I was like, oh, that is certainly one of the ways that you can run that. So now I'm going to look on my device and we're going to see if it's still in here. I didn't even keep it. I wrote it and then deleted it. It's gone. That list was called Eat Shit Damage 2, and there is nothing there. It's gone. So I don't even have it anymore. I don't even know what it was. 3 Redemptors, a Raven, Gilliman, Calgar, Intercessors, Incursors, 2 Storm Speeders, Company Heroes.
Combi Lieutenant. And that was
Combi
it, bro.
Lieutenant list.
That was it. Death to Chaff. Chaff is overrated. You don't need Chaff. Screen your backfield with the implication. That's how I was doing it.
Or the Intercessors, either way.
I don't know. The Intercessors were holding home, and the backfield was screened by. If you ingress there, the Redemptors will shoot you, and if you keep strike there, it will take you so long to get to my home objective that I'll have tabled you. That was how I held my backfield for the entire tournament. It worked every game but one. So you should see that there were some of my games where you'd look at the board stand and be like, and this doesn't have anything in his half of the board. Like, I would sometimes just, like, if my opponent didn't have a deep striking unit, I would embark the Intercessors in the Raven after Calgar got out so that I could make sure I flipped an objective with it later.
Nice.
It was pretty gaming, I'm not going to lie. I had a really good time with it.
It's a way to live,
Yeah, you look over and you're like, the only thing holding against his home objective is pressure. Okay, cool. Yeah. There's like a Tau army and deep strike, and I'm like, well, I'm on the other 4. It's fine.
Yeah, you can have that one, I guess.
Exactly. So yeah, what did I play? So I played 9 games. 9 games is a lot of Warhammer. I also played the Invitational, which is another 3 games, which I also played with Grey Knight Storm Raven.
Let's start with the simple stuff.
Got to play 12 games this weekend.
Do you think the Stormlands list was better than the Grey Knight list?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. I wasn't sure if you were gonna say yes. So,
well, I certainly did get. I've not been 20-0'd in a physical game since 8th edition. Because that's when the last time that getting tabled got you 20'd.
Sure.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Liam pulled off the 20-0 both ways against me in that game.
Yeah, that's true.
Just got tabled and 20'd the hard way.
Yeah.
Now, did I play that game in the Invitational, like pod finals? Great. No, probably not. I think he said fight first on your Crowbrick, and I went, panic, and didn't think about like any way to resolve that problem, and just decided to face first 2,000 points of Grey Knights into 2,000 points of CSM. While killing a Rhino into 2 bikes as my goal, which is not enough. If you're going to take a go turn into CSM and your plan is to kill most of a screening unit and a Rhino, it's probably not a go turn, and you should probably do something a little different.
Yeah.
Like, that's it's not the way you should be engaging with that combat. Like, you shouldn't trade an NDK and a Storm Raven for a Rhino.
It does seem bad. Just a little bad.
It just a little.
So many of my World Leader games sound like that, by the way, where someone just like through 8-step mental gymnastics convinced themselves that they like had to kill the rhino and then did, and then they like looked down and they were like, what have I done? And I was like, I don't know.
Actually, nothing, I think. Actually, nothing.
Thinking through it, I chatted about a lie with Liam afterwards that we think could have been interesting. The game is on War Games Live for all time.
That and your Lennon game, dude. Just
sorry, I'm actually out here. My one job is to prove that you can be really good at 40k and still really, really goddamn stupid. I'm just like, I need you guys to know that it's okay to play games like this sometimes, as long as you learn from them and you don't do it again.
yeah.
Like, it's
Sure.
I'm never gonna. But like, we worked out like a 6-step plan that was like, he put that squad of cultists every area denial. So if I had charged them with the crow brick and the crow brick with the strike squad, and the fight first brick with the strike squad, I could have slammed 7 of the purifiers into it without him being able to fight first, and that might have been enough that I only get mostly tabled by his guns. But the game would have been happening in the midfield, and my Storm Raven would have probably not died the same way, and I might have got to keep using it, which might have been enough to keep me in the game. So I should have done that in retrospect. It would have been sketchy because it would have been a 6-inch charge with no Cypher reroll because I needed all my CP. But hey, sometimes when you're playing against the best player in the world, you got to take some sketchy plays to, get yourself in the game. But no, that list was fun, but there's something about the Storm Raven with +1 to wound and a Redemptive Dreadnought inside it that's just better than it in Grey Knights. As much as I think the Grey Knight
the small profile upgrades it gets.
Yeah, like, look, man, that flat 3 on the plasma cannon is great, but I felt I was rolling 3s on that thing pretty consistently. I felt like when I was shooting at those greater demons and they were all dying, it was because I kept rolling 3s on the plasma cannons and converting 3 wounds with it. So,
And not because the hurricane bolters were doing 10 damage.
60% more damage. Yeah. No, nothing to do with that. No, don't worry about that. That poor Fate Weaver. Poor Fate Weaver rolling, taking his 4 rolling 1 saves, rolling 3 1s and converting them into 3 1s was definitely not a great moment for poor Chris.
Yeah.
So yeah, played that. I actually beat the invitational winner, which was fun. Matt Bell went 2-1 in the pod. We lost 3 round 1 submarine back up to the top, but because me and Liam both made top cut, he got to play the invitational and then won it with his Beast and Phalanx Test Right Vault. So hell yeah to Matt, well done. He'll never make the mistake he did against me. He put it so you know how the vault is shaped like a massive like party ring, right? It's just awful, terrible model.
Yep.
So in order to get it line of sight onto one of my NDKs turn 1, he like put it just onto the corner of a ruin for towering. But I managed to have the 1 remaining strike marine get under that ruin corner and hold him there, where he could not move and could not see me, but was in engagement range.
What the fuck?
Tink.
No,
Every turn.
no moving.
one strike marine with a frickin' force halberd poking it through a window, telling it can't shoot.
Yep, it was
Amazing.
fantastic. I had a great time. I did not kill the Silent King. I did not kill the Vault. I did score 50 on primary and Terraform. As far as I'm concerned, that's the best way to live your life. The Vault was sat on my side objective while it was just sat there Terraforming. And he's like, well, it's not a character, so it was great. I had a really good time in the invitation. Yeah, I know. The super heavy rules are a mess. And the Vault's profile is an abomination, like just the physical shape of it. There's nothing quite like Matt telling me during deployment that, yeah, it's allowed to overhang the board edge during deployment because there's nowhere else he can legally place it because he's filled all the spaces. If he hadn't filled all the spaces, he would have to place it somewhere. But because he filled all the spaces, it can now overhang the board edge legally. It's like, God, I hate this game. I hate this goddamn game. I'm walking through and I'm like holding this vault. I'm like, no, you can fit it here. And he's like, Flayed One's there. No, you can fit it here. No, Doomsday Arc there. Fucking bullshit.
So bad.
It was pretty awful. Okay, so that was the invitational. As for the main event, I will be doing, as always, a full Innish Reports on this one. I'm going to be doing, I think, for anyone who's wondering, my Innish Reports in reverse order. So I'm going to do the LGT one, hopefully this week. Then I'm going to do the World Leaders one. Then I'll do a Grey Knights one, which will include the invitational stuff. Because I'll do a full one for Eurotrash on that. I'll just do them in reverse order as they get decreasingly relevant, but I still want to have them recorded and have people have the chance to see them and talk about them because they're all still on vaguely this metagame. So it should be all right. But we'll start with the LGT one because clicks. I demand clicks. Yeah, pretty much. What did I play against? So I got to play against White Scars Gladius, Stormlance Space Wolves, Emperor's Children Coterie, I then played Ret Cadre Tau. I played Aspect Host Eldar. That was the Swiss for the first 5 rounds. Round 6, I played against Ret Cadre Tau again. I played Ret Cadre Tau twice in a day, which with the like identical list. They were both 21 suit Ret Cadre lists. With like 6 characters on top of that. It's a good list. It's pretty solid. Then I played against for the 4th game on Sunday. I played against Aspect Host Eldar again. So my Sunday was double Ret Cadre, double Aspect Host Eldar.
That's
just
unpleasant Sunday.
Not a day I'm eager to repeat. You know,
it's a lot of work.
Then game 8 was against Demonic Incursion Demons, and then game 9 was against Reaper's Wager Drakari. So yeah, overall, I had a really, really solid tournament. Not the most high-scoring games. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but my list doesn't have any chaff. So secondary cards were more of like a suggestion than a. Like it was a lot of, oh man, this kill secondary is really good, or oh man, my opponent's really gabled. I guess I'll score 100, and a lot of otherwise of like discard the card so that I can keep making the Raven invincible. I think across the 9 games, I lost 9 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I think I lost the Storm Raven 4 or 5 times. Gulliman only ever died once. That was to Raph, who did a little bit of cannibalizing his own score to get there. Raph had played one of the stranger games I played of the edition, where I won 76-12, which is one of the scores of all time. Raph had a bunch of opportunities to score points, but he decided that it was more important to kill Gulliman. So Lucius threw a 9-inch charge at him instead of recovering assets and shit like that, which, you know, I can respect. I can respect the pure hater energy that comes with that play. I'll be honest, playing Gulliman and Calgar feels just wrong on every level in terms of how much board presence they create. After the German Super Major, where I played them in Gladius list, I've just been like, yeah, I think they're just the best part of Space Marines, and there is so many reasons that you can come up with to not play them. But also, holy shit, when they take over a game, do they take over a game? Yeah. And every single game felt like on turn 2, Calgar jumped out of the Storm Raven, and him and Gulliman threw an advance together, and then they broke my opponent's Central Ruin in half. And it felt like that happened basically every game except like the Demons game. Like even against Sako, where that Central Ruin had like a solitaire and a Court of the Archon with double fight first, Lilith's unit screening it, 3 squads of Scourges in it. Like Gulliman and Calgar walked into it and then walked out of it. Like they went in and then it didn't win the game. You know, we missed some charges that could have got us there. We had some Scourges take some damage. You know, we tank shocked a Solitaire to death. All the good stuff. But by God, they went in and they cracked 1,000 points of Drakari that was an inch from the wall, and they did it the hard way. And like, what more can you say, right? Like, there's just something indomitable about that kind of combination, and this list felt like it supported them the best of any list I played this edition. Even after the like, God, if I had 2 more CP per turn. Oh God, yeah, no, that would have been unpleasant. The Vectora would probably like one suck with that game by itself because I want to spend like 12 CP a turn, and I get 3. So getting 1 is less good.
Yes.
But yeah, I played 3 games from the main event on stream. I played against Chris Langton, I played against Ben Jones, and I played against Sako. So my round 7, 8, and 9 games are all on stream. Nice. So if you want to see those, the War Games live stream has the game against Chris Langton, which is a really awesome game of the Storm Raven activating 4 times and basically one-shotting 4 Warrior Demons, and eventually tank shocking Kairos to death.
Oh,
damn! So all of the greater demons.
Yeah, no. He like
every single one
shot a Lord of Change from 15 to 2, and then it got finished off by like the Gatling cannon on a Ballista Dreadnought split firing. Then he shot Scarbrand from 20 to 0. Then he shot Be'lakor from like 12 to 5, and then he got finished off by like some intercessors, and then he won, and then he shot Kairos to death. It was like, hell yeah, Storm Raven,
tough, dude. That's a bad
the
day.
bird is the word.
The word is tank shock.
the word is tank shock and multi-melta failed saves. Yeah.
One flying headbutt away from that just being
it's just going from like 20 inches from one side, 20 inches to the other, 20 inches to one side, 20 inches to the other. My game against Tau against Cal Grundy, the Storm Raven advanced 26 into his deployment zone. He rapid ingressed across his crisis suits to deal with it, and then it charged 10 inches away.
Whoops.
Just be like, yeah, okay, cool. They're not in range anymore. I don't think it quite rolled that far. I did that in my other gaming as well. It's just like, and he sat down and he looked at the board and he was like, I just can't. The Gulliman, Calgar, and the Stormreaver were all in his central UKTC ruin, just together, having wiped us on Forge Squad. And then there were 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts in a squad about 8 inches off his home objective, and he was just, and all of his screens were dead. And he was just like, I'm not doing it. It's not worth it. I don't need to do this. So yeah, we called that game there. It was a really rough game for Kyle. Actually, he's got a super cool list, and he's taking triple Riptide to LVO instead, I think. So, power to him. That would have been a much scarier list for me. So yeah, overall, really, really cool tournament. I am not sure I would recommend it to anyone that asked. I know Paul Neuberger, one of the Team France guys that made the top 8 alongside us, who was playing Raven Guard at the weekend, is going to try it with cutting one of the Hammer Strikes for a Tech Marine and an Outrider squad, which I think seems totally reasonable. Just having like a little bit of screening would be, it would make sense. I think if my Encourager squad had been an Outrider squad, it would have been worse at the weekend. The ability to, there were a lot of games where the ability to have like the Encourager squad go into the middle objective and threaten to react to move back into the Storm Raven if my opponent wanted to touch the middle was really, really good for making my opponent overcommit or not commit at all and letting me score points. And then they would die, and I would do the same with Calgar afterwards. Watching the look on Kyle's face when I went, I'm going to put one of Calgar's friends on the middle, and I'm going to terraform it. And he's like, well, I can't just leave it terraformed, but I really want to shoot Calgar, and then just have to walk his Fruit Sword onto the middle to die. And then Calgar just went, okay, and left. Back into the Raven to disembark 3 additional and charge again. It was glorious. It was great fun. So yeah, overall, really, really solid. Redemptor Dreadnoughts have too many guns. I think that's the biggest thing with the Redemptor Dreadnought that I always really appreciate with it is that it inspires. If you have the heart of a warrior, the Redemptor Dreadnought can split fire and kill 3 things. It shouldn't. Definitely shouldn't. But
if you're playing against
if
your car,
you
you might
believe
get
you
4.
can achieve. And for that reason, I love the Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Being able to go plasma cannon at that, Gatling cannon at that, frags and little missile at that, and then just watch 3 units of Eldar was the highlight of my tournament. And it was a massive help in the games against like the 2 games against Aspectos that I played. It was a lot of like, yeah, man, the Fire Dragon squad got to kill 2 of the really tanky vehicles, but then it died in a hailfire, and I still killed everything else that was in the open that turn as well. I had a couple of the games of just watching like, the Fuegan squad would jump out and rip one to shreds. Like it would kill the fire, kill the Redemptor, it'd kill the Storm Raven, whatever. Then it'd get back in the Serpent that was in the open now because it had to be, which is exactly where Serpents want to be. And then the rest of the army, the other 1,500 points, would do like 6 damage to the second one.
Oh,
That's about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, a great weekend. I can't complain. I think my audio has dropped off, and I'm going to refresh because I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay.
I guess we move over to stats while Innes departs. I don't know.
Might as well. He can finish LGT after stats.
Actually, you can tell me about why you think Hellions aren't as good as everybody thinks that they are, because a lot of people are talking about Hellions at the moment.
So there's a pretty important part of a weapons profile, and it's between strength and damage. And it's called armor penetration or shorthanded to AP often. And the Hellions have a very low armor penetration characteristic, which makes them quite weak against heavily armored targets that tend to be pretty common. So they just weren't that impressive. I don't know. Played with them. They were fine. They did stuff. Nah.
So are you on the Reaver wagon then? Taking
I
Reaver
did
jet
play
bikes?
18 Reavers, and I do not think I will be playing less for quite some time.
8? That's so many Reaver jet bikes.
They're so dumb. They're so silly. What a dumb
Anthony,
unit.
I don't want to paint 18 Reaver jet bikes.
You should get over that, Nathan.
Yeah,
if you want,
If you
want the
I just
rewards of
don't
winning
want
tournaments,
to.
you have to engage in the hobby bandwagon. I painted 50 Berserkers in 4 days, and you can suffer too.
Fine. I will paint 18 Reaver jet bikes.
Yes, you will.
You
will paint 18 Reaver Jetbikes to not take to RTTs.
No.
There's a GT in October that I have decided I'm going to.
I can't wait for you to drop out of it for some reason.
I hopefully won't. That's what my hope is at this point.
I know what you're like, buddy.
Fair, but
I also hope Nathan has to drop, but I hope it's because he's too busy with his baller ass sick job or something.
That would be significantly nicer to have happen. Yes,
Yeah.
that would be much better.
Like your job's just so cool that you're like so invested that it's like basically a hobby because you're so happy at work every day. That's
the true dream. The true dream is making money and having a job that you actually enjoy. That is the truest of dreams.
yeah.
And then I
It's a
can
good
actually I can follow other people's examples and just buy commissioned armies instead
Oh
of painting
god,
them.
so much better.
I would be so jazzed to just send these minis to somebody and be like, look, can you just paint these?
Yeah. You hear that, chat? Nathan's looking for a commission person.
Maybe not
Once he
right
gets a
now,
job.
but
Once he
eventually.
gets this
Once I get a job, and then I'll partake in the hobby capitalism. All right. Innes, do you want to finish up your LGT bits and bobs?
Yeah, I had an awesome tournament. It was an incredible time. Thank you to all of my opponents. Thank you to the guys who were streaming it. It was really nice being on the stream and having side tables because by God, there was not any otherwise. The board, it was not great being back in the board edges touch. Your board edge touches your opponent's board edge. I did not miss that. I did not enjoy playing on taped mats again. That's not a thing I've missed.
Taped mats, dude. Holy,
I know,
what
right?
year is
Like,
it?
I know. And holy shit, is the terrain format just an abomination? Looking at like, it speaks to me a lot that the four lists that were in the top cut were noise marines that go wherever they want because they're fast enough to see anything, indirect from obliterators and warp talons, which are pseudo indirect, fight first on 25 mil bases plus scourges and a storm raven.
Yep.
Dear God, is the terrain super open, but also impenetrable. Like the fact that ruin in your deployment zone can hold 2,000 points that can't be interacted with unless you have like the speed of 1,000 suns is awful, and it just needs to go. It is not fit for purpose, and I don't
I
know what
think
needs to
they
change about
made-
it, but you just can't. It's
think-
not a serious terrain format.
I think they made a mistake, right? I think they made a mistake much the same way that we would have had an issue if the like brief low person count call for WTC to not use the WTC charging rules would have had, because the terrain is just it's too long, right? The pieces are too physically large to have something like the 1-inch rule work. The closest you get to the 1-inch rule not being completely asinine is on GW terrain, because a lot of the times it's shorter and you can charge around it, so it's not like the end of the world.
Yeah,
It's
and,
still
like,
a
you
bad,
can't really
stupid
hide,
rule.
Yeah, you
but
can't hide a ton of stuff in those buildings for a reason, right?
Right, exactly. You introduce new and exciting downsides, right? Something like just the WTC charging rule would just outright fix that LGT ruin problem, but they don't use it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like the suggestion that I will continue to make is that they need to take every single one of those 8x8s and carve them in half and turn them into 8x4s and change like almost nothing about the rest of the terrain, just some of the layout options. But there's no terrain on a board edge just anywhere. And the ruins are huge and they're at the edge of your deployment zone, which means that they're like compared to the previous pack, which I actually think I preferred the terrain broadly, like the stupid huge like 15 by 15 W ruins were problematic. But the combined double little ruins were stupid and crazy in the Search Destroy maps. But broadly, they played a little better because at least they were smaller and you could like go over the top of them and stuff like that. With the 8x8 at the edge of your deployment zone, you can just get your entire fucking army in it with no problem. Like the number of games that my opponent looked at my opponent was like, there is a squad of intercessors on your home objective, a hammer strike on a flank, and a lieutenant on a flank. And then there's 1,700 points of Storm Raven plus Guilliman plus 2 Dreadnoughts in the middle of this. How on earth am I meant to approach the middle? And I would just look at them and go, I don't know. Anyway, so this is where the Raven can go, and it sees into your one when it moves 26. And then their brain would like to a degree segfault. Was horrific. Like it was just unfun to play against. I don't think anybody that had to like resolve where the Raven could move to enjoyed a game against that list. And I don't think that's fine. I don't think that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's bad. That's not a good thing. It's tough. Like my terrain preference for the most part goes something like WTC and then like several greater than signs, and then it's like GW layouts that aren't bad because there are some that are fine. Then it's UKTC, and then it's like the fucked up GW layouts, right? The problem with that is that UKTC is not ubiquitous, and there are bad UKTC layouts still because the tournament insists on using layouts like sweeping, or like the way they're I think Crucible. What's the one that's like turbo open?
Search. Yeah, the Crucible map is
Search,
like
that-
the most okay one. That's the one I played soccer on. But
Yeah.
even that one is just sightlines for days. Like there's just a straight sightline from like your side objective to their side objective through the middle. There's just like a straight, clean line that anything smaller than like a 5-man can't hide on.
Yeah.
Like people would stage a Mandrake squad in their safe objective, and I'd be like, so I walk out of my deployment zone 8 inches and see it, okay? And they'd just have to be like, yes, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's the best layout. I think it's fine. It's just not very good.
But it is for every terrain layout, right? I think there is a degree of, as much as we like to bitch about them, we paid for the event ticket knowing what the terrain was like. We can suggest better, but if you did not build your list in a way that accommodates for that, then that is ultimately your own fault, right? You are allowed to go, I don't think this is the right thing. I have a horrible joke about this, but from Brad, UKT is allergic to terrain touching the board edge just because they can't guarantee the mats are the right size, according to someone who had to play on a 40-inch long board, not a 60-inch board. And because if the mat, when all the mats are touching, it ruins at the board edge, it bounces into the other person's table. So, like, what can you do, right? You gotta have them really. Because the thing with the UKTC ruins is that all the measurements have them being flush, but the original ones, like the 8th edition ones, so the 8x8 and the standard, like the 8x4, are they have like little extendy bits that come out a little bit past where the train plate is. So they would all, if you had the ruin flush to the board edge, that would poke over into the other table and stuff like that. It would actually be a problem because of how tight all the boards are. Yeah. 2 of my tables were 58.5 by 43. Yeah, see, there you go. So yeah, I think there is room to be improved. There always is. I think they need to have a real think about what the goal is with the terrain format. Ultimately, though, if you signed up for the event knowing that the terrain looks like this and you didn't bring a list that is accounting for that, that is ultimately on you. I brought my list because I knew what the terrain format was going to be like, and I wanted the best possible chance. Like, how do I crack that ruin? Well, a Storm Raven will crack that ruin. And if your list, and what did Liam do? Well, he brought 4 Obliterators and 10 Warp Talons. And what did Sako do? He brought Scourges and Fight First to make sure that his was incredibly safe and he could pick you off on your side just with getting directed with. And those are the lists that did best. What did Brian do? Brian drowned the rest of the board and left that ruin alone. You see pictures of some of Brian's war turns, and it's just like, yeah, I didn't really go through that ruin. I went everywhere else though, and that's fine too. But if you were going to try and make top cut with World Eaters, you were going to have a bad time, which is why we'll talk about the stats when we get to it in a bit. Some of those lists didn't have a great day.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is also, like, notably, a lot of those mat manufacturers aren't very good about controlling quality, so a lot of those mats are like an inch off on some sides as well.
Ultimately, it's not LGT's fault, but it is LGT's problem.
Sure.
Right? I think that's kind of the, hey, are people, this might not be a thing the LGT's aware of, right? Like, ultimately, are people putting in on their feedback forms that their mats are the wrong size, or hey, I played this mat the wrong size. I know that I don't usually measure my mats. I just chuck the terrain down, measuring from one side and the other, and then sometimes it's slightly different on both sides. I'm like, oh, I wonder why I'm on there, and I don't critically think about it, and I definitely don't report it. So as much part of the problem as anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, to the wider point that even chat is making, them not just using GW is still kind of silly. Like, you could take most of the UKTC ruins and put them on GW plates and just be like, we did it, and then just use GW layouts. It would be totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think people apply the same argument to WTC, though, right? And we like to have our special snowflake format, so.
Well, there's a reason for that, though, right? There's not 8 functional GW tables. Singles works differently than teams.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I appreciate it, but I also I acknowledge where UKTC is coming from and that they have this terrain.
Yeah, but you could take the terrain they have and just plonk it on a fucking square, or a rectangle, rather.
I gotta be honest, I think even the good GW layouts are kind of copium, but
they're better than
I get it.
Time,
just
right?
like, if I have to play on goddamn tipping point layout 1 again, I'm gonna go mad.
Sure.
All right,
Um,
shall we do some stats, Nathan?
Sure.
Since we're 40 minutes into the show.
There were 10 events this weekend. I'm going to talk through the overview stats, and then I'm going to deep dive into some detachment stats so that you guys can get a little bit more information about what's good. Also, because I want to highlight some stuff post a few weeks of data, and I think that's kind of interesting. So this is all sorted by win rate. Our top performing faction is Adeptus Mechanicus. They had 38 players, 2.6% of the meta, which is like a doubling of how many people are actually playing that faction compared to previously. That's a lot. That's a doubling of player base is a lot. That faction had a 59.1% win rate over the weekend with 2 event wins, 3 top 4s, 6 top 10s, and a 2.93 over rep. I think, just maybe, Adeptus Mechanicus might be good now. Just possibly. I don't know. In second was Adeptus Auritus with 42 players, 2.8% of the meta, a 58.6% win rate, 2 event wins, 3 top 4s, 4 top 10s, and a 2.65 over rep. Deathwatch just barely skirting into the top 5 for faction performance with 10 players, 0.7% of the meta, and a 58% win rate, but they had no placements of any kind, so they are a 0 for over rep. Then you have Eldari, 85 players, 5.7% of the meta, 55.5% win rate, 2 event wins, 6 top 4s, 9 top 10s, and a 2.62 over rep, which is why you should never just use win rate for these things. Because they're just barely outside of the win rate window, but they are considerably outside the balance window for over rep, which means Eldar may be also a little too good. And then rounding out the top 5 is Leagues of Votann. They had 34 players, a 54.9% win rate, and just 2 top 10s for also a 0 for over rep.
I feel like I didn't see any votes on LGT. I'm sure there were some people playing it. I just didn't see any of them.
There were about as many Votann players as there were AdMech players, but I don't think there were very many at LGT this weekend. I think they were mostly in other places.
Maybe it just wasn't friend. I'm maybe just not friends with any Votann players.
That's
so I wasn't hanging around the tables.
True, and Jeremy was in Canada, so you know.
That is true.
On the other end of things, Imperial Agents were the worst performing faction of the weekend, but they pretty much always are, so I'm just going to stop including them in this conversation, I think.
I think at some point we have to just be like, they're not trying to make them better. They're very bad. Go away.
We're sorry, Agents players. Right. Yes, you were missold an army that should not have been sold to you. However, that doesn't mean that we have to keep tolerating them in our stats.
Okay. We are going to keep putting it in the stats, though. Thousand Sons are the worst performing faction that's not Imperial Agents. 45 players, 3% of the meta, a 42.9% win rate, and a single top 10. So they have a 0 for over rep.
Best news I had all day.
They're also just outside of the window. I will tell you the worst performing faction at the moment, outside of Imperial Agents, is a 42.9% win rate, which actually is not bad. Space Marines, 84 players, 5.7% of the meta, which, funnily enough,
that's really low, right?
Is quite a bit lower than the most popular single faction, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I will let you guys guess which one that is. They had a 43% win rate, 2 top 4s, 7 top 10s, and a 0.88 over up. So they're doing okay.
Good God, Space Marine players. You guys are going to get us buffed again.
Space Wolves were third from the bottom, 41 players, 2.8% of the meta, a 43.8% win rate, and a single top 10 placement. Tyranids are fourth from the bottom, 59 players, 4% of the meta, a 44.6% win rate, a single event win, which is also their top 4 and their top 10 for a 0.63. Man, that faction, I think, needs something because it is just not doing it. Whatever it is doing, this is not it. And then Imperial
detachment day, all right?
Yeah, and then Imperial Knights are fifth from the bottom. 63 players, 4.2% of the meta, a 45.1% win rate, 2 top 4s, 4 top 10s for a 1.18, which means they are at the low end of good, like doing all right. They're at the low end of doing fine. So whatever the nerfs were, took them down quite a notch. Who do you guys think the 6.8% meta representation faction is? It should be relatively easy to guess, honestly.
World Leaders?
It is World Leaders. World Leaders had the most players of the weekend.
How'd they do, Nathan?
Smush all the things together. So, Anthony, let's answer that question. There were 101 World Leaders players.
Wow, that's so many.
6.8% of the meta, a 52.8% win rate, 2 top 4s, 6 top 10s, and a 0.74 for overrep. So, doing all right. Neither good nor bad. Just kind of okay.
Yep. That's
World Leaders.
There you go.
I think the biggest event of the weekend being fairly inimical terrain for them did not help.
Correct. And 74 of the 101 World Leaders players were at one event. Yeah, which is a lot.
Shout out to Josie, who went 4-1 with Possessed Slaughterbound with 21 8-bound.
Amazing.
And a Land Raider.
The other event winners from the weekend were Drukari, who had 31 players and a 54% win rate. They had a 2.4 overrep, which is a lot, partially caused by the 2.1% meta representation, which does inflate things a little bit, but not a lot of it. Other event winners were Chaos Space Marines, who notably won the largest event of the weekend with a 48% win rate, 1 event win, which was their big win, 1 top 4, which was LGT, and 1 top 10, which was also LGT, for a 0.7. Gene Stealer Colt won an event. They had a 47.3% win rate. They won an event, which was their only top 4 and top 10, and they have a 1.95 overrep because they only are 1.3% of the meta currently with 19 players.
It pains me to admit it, but I think Host is probably just fine. I think Host is fine. It's not exceptional, but it's fine. It's a completely playable army. It's not going to be me playing it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Drukari, honestly.
Yeah, sick dude. I know Floof had a pretty solid challenger top with them, and but I think Coast of Ascension's totally fine.
They're A-okay.
It's an army you can play. It fills me with the same joy that playing like Ironstorm does, right? Like it's an army I used to love that just isn't what it was, but it's not like you can't win with it. I just I'm going to go and macrodose something else.
Look at this absolute hero in the YouTube chat whose name is Poop and then all cap smash. Hell yeah, dude.
Amazing. Somebody asked about Death Guard. Death Guard are 86 players, 5.8% of the meta, so they haven't fallen off a ton, but they have fallen off a bit in player representation. They had a 49% win rate, 2 top 4s, 7 top 10s for a 0.86 overrep, so they are just fine. They are doing okay.
Can we talk about how much better this type of emoji is? Like the :D just looks so much better than the emoji smiley face does.
Yeah,
I just
true.
I don't even begin. This is a real person, and the emoji is a simulacrum, right? This makes me happy. That does not, and I think that more people I hate it when my phone autocorrects this to the emoji. I'm like, how dare you take him away from me? And I feel like I need to get that off.
You know what doesn't get autocorrected usually? The good old reliable hero of the emo kids MySpace days, the old XD. That almost never gets.
That is the best one.
That almost never gets taken down.
All right, we are now going to go into some detachment data, and I'm going to go alphabetically because that is how the table is organized, and you're just going to have to fucking deal with it.
This guy never gets autocorrected.
Oh, that's also true.
Yeah. All right, we're going to start with Sisters. They have a 58.6% win rate overall since the slate, with Army of Faith kind of dragging it down, but they're not the most played detachment. Hallowed Martyrs is the most played with 48 of that are 109 players, with a 48 or a 61.3, almost read the Adeptus Custodes win rate, a 61.3% win rate. But secretly in here is Bringers of Flame with 21 players and a 66.7% win rate.
God, I love Bringers of Flame. It's just Ironstorm Sisters, man. It's just sitting there waiting for someone to just be like, hey, what if guys, is Fast Gun still good?
Champion of Faith has a 59.8% win rate.
God, nobody tell Typhus Sisters are good. I feel so embarrassed.
Sisters, I think, are just good, and I think we need to accept that they've just surged right back to the top and are doing great. But I think what more people are interested in is the Adeptus Mechanicus win rate data. So there are 103. Oh, that's just wins, honestly. Whatever, it doesn't really matter for the purposes of this. They have a 59.1% win rate. Most of their games are Halo Screed, which has a 56% win rate. And then Skitari Hunter Cohort, which has a 69.8% win rate, which is some wild nonsense that shouldn't exist.
Right. Real talk. What do we need to see from AdMech for us to be willing to say the buffs are too much. Like, I'm not saying we're there. I'm not even saying we're close to there.
Sorry,
But
I was
what
cheering
would
for
we
the
need
super
to
chat. What was
see?
the question again?
What would we need to see from AdMech over the next couple of weeks for us to be like, okay, AdMech buffs are too much?
I mean, on Sunday I helped play 2 games with young upstate Dan, and goodness gracious, the old like these units do a bunch of damage, but they're so cheap that they might as well be trash. And then you come out to kill them, and then the Cataphrons destroy your army, and then the dregs of your army that is left dies to Overwatch is like, oh no! When I was first reading Halo Screed, I was like, why don't they have an act strat? And the answer is because they don't fucking need it, because they hand it out to 2 units for free, and the army rules advance and shoot. And I was like, oh, all right, fair, my bad.
The problem is I think they gave AdMech so many pieces of candy that, like, it finally just outweighed the negatives that Codex
AdMech,
has.
like, just
And
have
has-
every rule in the game now, right?
Correct.
Like, they just have all of them.
Look, I think if you read Halo Screed, it reads like what it is, which is a detachment designed for a book that sucks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, things have changed, and they no longer are terrible.
Let me put this in a way that I think emblematic is the problem. If I win the ITC again this year, or I get the prize for winning the ITC again this year, I know Josh won last year. If I get the prize again, I'm getting AdMech out of it. I'm just going. I'm not like
as a dollar
Just
per
enough to,
value, no matter what, you should just get the AdMech army.
Well, I got Eldar last time, right? I actually
Just
should really chase
maximize
it.
the
I only got
points.
half that stuff. I should try and get the rest. But
You should. Yes.
I
You
should.
should chase down people to get the rest of it.
it's only been like 7 months. It's fine. I would really like to get some Howling
I froze for a
Badges.
second. All right.
Yeah, no,
All
like
right, we're
AdMech
gonna
are
continue.
kind of nuts.
Yeah. That army is great. They finally reached the critical point where enough points cuts and enough rules have just broken it a bit.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think-
it's too many things. They gave it
Yeah,
too many
it
things.
just-
It's just
Is
a
it
little
okay
bit.
for an army to be
Too many
strong but
things.
not broken? That kind of feels where AdMech is at. I am unconvinced that that's true. That it's strong but not broken. I think we are still in the experimental phase where people are figuring out what is the best version of the list that is broken.
Yeah, I think it's going to take some time. I think AdMech could end in a place that it's broken, but I'm definitely not. I don't think it's like outright broken yet, but it's fucking toeing that line a little bit, and the
Maybe
stats
it
seem
didn't
to
need
suggest it's pretty
Maybe
fucked.
it didn't need the turn length on the Iron Strikers at the same time make a Wolf, right? Just like
Yeah.
little things.
I will say that all the indicators currently are like putting us at orange alert, and it would be very easy for it to be
Yeah.
holy crap.
Every single metric we have right now, except event wins, is and player pop is telling us, "Hey, hold the fucking phone. What is going on with Skitari and Halo Street?"
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Now we're going to talk about Eldar because we want to go
now
from.
you're really going to upset Vic.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm going to upset Vic a lot. So Eldar overall so far have a 55.5% win rate. But underneath that is the fact that the vast majority of players are playing Aspect Host, and that has a 61.9% win rate, which is being dragged down by some people playing Wind Rider Host, Guardian Battle Host, and Ghost of the Webway, which are all sub 50%. War Host as well, with only a 49% win rate, which is the second most players. And then, the third most is Seer Council with a 53% win rate. The vast majority of Eldar are playing the Good Detachment, which has a 61.9% win rate, which is just a great win rate. And it does seem like perhaps Eldar are still too good and may need some adjustments to a specific detachment that is still too good.
It's interesting because I don't think. All right, so I don't think it's Aspect Host that's making that happen. I just think it's the good Eldar players, for the most part.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of like the cart leading the horse, right?
Yeah.
People play Aspect Host because Aspect Host is the army that supports the things that are broken in Eldar best.
True.
Specifically
yeah,
in a
it's
world
nice.
where you're not able to pull all your damage from being, when you're not able to pull all your damage from being fire dragons, and you need help in other places. Aspect Hope help give you that lift. But in general, Warhost is a much more forgiving detachment that does more like janky fuckery, right?
Yeah, it's just you don't necessarily need the janky fuckery when your army just does kind of good damage, right?
It still does good damage in Warhost. Again, this is very like I think if you like held Eldar player down and you were like pick one, they would be hard pressed to pick between. I don't really think it matters that much which detachment it is.
Sure.
They both just do like generic Eldar shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Folger is taking Warhost to LVO. Obviously, Ben Jones did very well with Aspect Host at LGT until he had to play against yours truly. Yeah, like I was watching the 6++ event recap, and Harley was like, yeah, somewhere around like the fifth time I thought he was done shooting, but he was still only halfway, and my odd mech army was getting tabled by like everything. I was like, maybe Eldar's good.
Yeah.
Eldar are still great and are deserving of having an eye kept on them in perpetuity, basically, at this point.
Those Phoenix Lords are just too cheap somehow.
Somehow, despite being also expensive, are too.
I just don't think things should be allowed to move 24 in charge, and I just
that's fair. That's reasonable.
I apply that to my Storm Raven, and I apply it to Lycus.
All right. We're going to move on to Emperor's Children because they're next in the detachments thing that I held open, and also the thing that people were most excited about after the MFM. It's the vast majority of people are playing Coterie, and it has a 51.2% win rate. It's dragged down by Mercurial Hosts and a few people playing Peerless Bladesmen for a 20% for Mercurial and a 47.5 for Peerless. And that's all. Those are the three detachments that
just play Coterie. Please,
just play Coterie.
Stop playing other detachments. It is not worth your time.
Yeah.
And then this next bit is just targeted at Innis and Floof in particular. And it's Gene Stealer Cults, who have a 47.3% win rate overall. Biosanctics at a 45.6. Final Days at a 46.4. Outlander Closet at a 46.7. And Xenocreeds at a 40. And all these have roughly the same player participation. Host of Ascension is the best overall detachment at a 55%.
Yeah, Host is fine, guys. Just put in some more mixed arm stuff and get really good at CP management, and it's okay.
And then Grey Knights are next because people keep telling me that that the win rate is really high on them, and it is. They have a 53.5% win rate. Their best attachment and the most played one is Warpbane Task Force, which is a 55.3. Although some people have been playing Sanctic Spearhead successfully to a 57.7. And I think 2 people have played Brotherhood Strike to a 70% win rate.
Hell yeah.
And then Banishers is the second most played detachment, but has a 42.5% win rate. Just play Warpbane, folks.
Yeah, Warpbane is really, really, really just generically good. Brotherhood Strike does a decent job of being like Satan's Warpbane. Reroll once to hit and wound is pretty solid. But yeah, Warpbane just has a more warranted toolkit and it's less CP dependent, so you can Rapid Ingress more. And Rapid Ingress is really broken. So
yeah. Yep. Right. Imperial Knights were the recipients of a lot of changes, including the detachment changes, so they're up next. Their most played detachment is Questoris Companions with a 50.9% win rate. Spearheaded Arm.
Valor Strike Companions overrep is 4.61. Hell yeah, guys.
Yes, it's crazy. It's a lot.
That's a big number.
Valor Strike Lance. I don't really actually suggest using detachments with overrep because it gets kind of wild bullshit.
Yeah, sure, but still, numbers. Big number makes brain worms
big number make brain go boom. Yes, I understand. Valor Strike's their second most with a 39.8% win rate. Please, people, stop trying to play Valor Strike. Spearhead at Arms is the third most with a 40.6. And then a couple people have been playing Gate Warden successfully to a 66.7% win rate. It looks like the way to play is Questoris Companions, and maybe people should just do that.
I know the best in faction Imperial Knights at LGT was Restarval with Questor Companions, with Spearhead Arms. So playing like the 2/8 list, which does, I think that's the one that I'm the most worried about. As Anthony said, -1 damage dog is good, right?
Yeah.
Scary.
I'm building Spearheaded Arms right now with a Castigator and a Defender.
Yeah, Castigator Defender or Warden Defender seems like the ways to go. Yeah. The Warden hands out its AP buff for AP and sustain for combat as well, whereas the Castigator is just for range. So there's a little bit of a plus minus there, but sure.
Yeah, I get it.
Rerolling 1 sustained hits, 1 rapid firing, meltas on the armor is quite fun. So
I love some 5 melta shots plus sustained on some stuff. It's great.
It's pretty nonsense. I do quite like it.
It is nonsense though.
Just for
All right.
Brian, do you want to do orc stats? Since
They're next, actually. They're next anyways. I just wanted to do Imperial Knights first. Orcs are next. They have a 54% win rate overall, which is really good, actually. All they needed was a good week. Most people are playing Warhorde, which has a 54.9% win rate. Like the vast majority of people are playing Warhorde to a 54.9. Second most popular is Bully Boys, which has a 52%. Then Green Tide, which has a 59.4%. Followed by Dread Mob, The Big Hunt, and Tactical Brigade. Tactical Brigade has a 25% win rate, but only really one person has tried it so far. The Big Hunt, same story with a 20% win rate, and then Dread Mob has a couple players with a 60% win rate. Seems like most people are playing Warhorde quite successfully.
Warhorde does seem like the best choice.
It slams. It's real simple. It slams.
I honestly want to
because it hurts me.
We can do NIDS, but I have to do Space Marines first, just because we're doing this alphabetically. I want to play Brian Sipes' Orcs list, just because it seems like fun.
If you're an Orc player, you should play Brian Sipes' Orc list. You should try not to do any better. Just do that.
All right. Space Marines are next. They have a 43% win rate overall. The vast majority of people who are seeing success, well, the vast majority of people are playing Gladius with not a lot of success at a 40.2% win rate. Most of the success is actually just in the second most popular detachment, which is Shadow Mark, which has a 61.8% win rate, which is pretty good.
Say 68?
61.8.
Oh.
Still
too high.
Damn high.
Less silly.
That's still really good. And folks, maybe you should play Shadow Mark.
It's worth remembering as well. Like Shadow Mark didn't get the +1 to wound at LVO or LGT. It does at LVO.
Mm-hmm.
And it still made top 8.
Yep.
And it was one of the closest games Liam had at the weekend.
It's good.
He should not have +1 to wound. Just for the same reason the Ultramarines shouldn't. Like Space Marines just didn't need +1 to wound. They should just have been different rules. It should not have. Should not have happened.
You get one free squad of intercessors.
Hell yeah! I honestly, in that list, I'd have taken it.
I agree with Melody in that we should just send Centurions to Legends, please.
Yeah.
Mostly because after I built one box and I almost wanted to die.
Just that bad, huh?
It's just so many tiny little pieces.
I have like 15 Centurions.
There's so many of them. I hate them. Stormlance also does pretty well. They're the third most popular detachment with a 53.8% win rate. There's a bunch of people playing everything else to sub 30% win rates. Please don't do the other things.
Good job.
All right. I wasn't going to do Tyranids, but I'm going to skip Thousand Suns because that's what they deserve.
I want to know what Tyranids. I want to know what's going on with Tyranids.
All right. 44.6% win rate overall for Tyranids. Most people are playing Subterranean Assault to a 43.8% win rate, which is not good. I don't know how a detachment that gives you 6-inch charges coming out of Deep Strike is bad, but it is.
The detachment isn't bad is the trick, Nathan.
Yeah. I get it. I know. It's like, it's honestly
Deep Strike into army-wide reroll ones, and it's still probably just not as good as
it's still not very good.
Hear me out. Hear me out. If Rust Stalkers can be damaged too, why not the humble Gene Stealer?
Fair.
Why not Tyranid Warriors, bro?
Just let Tyranid Warriors go. We're not to be trusted with them. We fucked that up. That is largely, at least a little, your and my fault.
Hey, look, same thing with Gene Stealers, man. They used to let me triple move them back in 8th edition.
Sure. They can't do that anymore, though. So maybe they can be damaged too.
True. They should. You know, honestly, there's other things that just need to happen. It's not pure strains next to Floof. You don't get the Gene Stealer cult Gene Stealers at damage to, only the Tyranids ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. No damage 2 for you, Floof. Invasion Fleet is the second most played to a 46.3% win rate, and then Vanguard is the third most played to a 48.9%. That is their best performing detachment at the moment, is Vanguard with 48.9% win rate. Synaptic Nexus has one person who played it to a 60% win rate. Crusher Stampede had a few people play it to a 30, and Annihilation Swarm had a few people play it to a 46.7. So, you know, not great. You did not give me a large enough super chat, Kara Quintero, to make me go back to read Custodies, but I might consider it.
I mean, it's
I'll
saving
read,
DM.
I'll read what it says on the data sheet thing because I've got the page open. Custodians had a 49% win rate for the week. Their best performing detachment was Solar Spearhead with 67% win rate and 5 players. Their most popular detachment was Lions of the Emperor with a 49% win rate and 44 players. Lions of the Emperor are totally fine. The other ones are, they're okay.
All right. World Leaders are the last army that I'm going to talk about. They are mostly Berserker Warband, which is their second best performing detachment. 52.5. It's like almost entirely Berserker Warband. There's barely anything else. 52.5% win rate for that, which is they have a 52.8% win rate overall for the faction. There's a few people playing Khorne Demonkin still to a 57.1. And then a few people who are playing Possessed Slaughter-Band to a 70% win rate.
Exactly,
but it's only
Josie.
It's just 2 people. I think it's Josie and one other person.
Someone else.
Yep.
Not
And
Josie. Someone went 3-2 and Josie went 4-1. That's 70% win rate. That'll do.
Correct. That'll do. And that's kind of it. All right. I'm not going to taunt Thousand Sons players. Your army has a 42.9% win rate overall. The vast majority of people are playing Grand Coven still to a 41% win rate. And then a few people are playing Rubrikai Phalanx to a 52.9% win rate. Maybe you should just all play Rubrikai Phalanx. I don't know. I honestly am not sure what
Let's
to do.
go, Malta. You were right all along.
And Innis did it for you, Kara Quintero. So you're in the clear. And that's it. That's the stats. I think going through the detachment data is kind of important for everybody, especially at this point. In another couple of weeks, we'll have a really filled out picture of kind of how things are doing, and we'll see what to do at that point. We'll see if all of our warning indicators for AdMech turn out to be true or not. I personally
we're going to see a lot of volatility in this data set week to week now because the game is
that was what I
getting
said.
closer and closer to balanced, as Anthony said, as Vic said when he did his stats episode and all that stuff. There's going to be a lot of volatility based on what players are playing detachments, what's popular right now. Big events will have outsized impacts based on the terrain formats and the missions that they play and everything. It is, as always, it is an indicator, not on everything. Just
I will say,
keep an eye on things, guys.
I had to fill out a EC matrix for a coaching client today, and it was 7 greens and a slight volatility, probably a green as long as you don't go second on a bad board. And I was like,
Oh, let me at them. Let me at them with my Storm Raven, Anthony. I promise you will not be.
I don't think there was a Storm Raven in those lists.
That's that team's mistake. If your Space Marine player isn't playing 3 Redemptors and a Storm Raven, you're doing it wrong. I'm gonna.
I also think that can still get just sculled by EC.
That is not what it felt like when I played Raph.
Yeah.
Poor Raph.
I mean, it depends on the EC build a ton, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I'm watching two Demon Princes and 12 Noise Marines lose the fight to a Redemptor was not.
Yeah, that's not.
It's about average.
That's the stats. I think the 4-week rolling average is going to be really important for this. I do think people are going to be overestimating the volatility a little bit just because top level players contribute a relatively small amount to the overall win rate of factions over time.
I don't think it's necessarily like the. I
But
don't think
we
it's
will see
necessarily
volatility
player,
in
but I think it's the
other stats,
like player-led direction of the game, right? Like big names, people talking about things, and like the content that we and Art of War and Fireside and 6++ and Auspex and all those people have about the armies, that like what's popular right now. People follow that information, right? World Leaders didn't get popular out of nowhere. It got popular because people were like, "Hey, this army got really good out of the slate," and then people brought it for that reason, right? So,
yes, I just think we'll see things start to average out like a little bit, and we'll get a determination of where things are at.
The bigger determination will be which armies are like doing well over the course of a month, not over a week now, right?
Yep.
So if we look back in 3 weeks' time and it's like, wow, AdMech had a really good week, then a really bad week, then a really good week, then a really bad week, we probably say that like on average they're probably fine. It's just volatility. If they have 4 60% weeks in a row, we can probably look at that and go like, yeah, okay, it's probably just AdMech, right? Like week to week is going to be volatile. It always is. That's why we report the stats every week, because that volatility is interesting. But if they're at the whole goddamn time, then we can just say, hey, what the fuck's going on, guys?
Yeah. We will, though, what I'll say is see volatility in overrep, I think, is where we'll see volatility.
100%. Yeah. But that's why it's one metric that we track, right? We track 50.
This is why we use a multi-parametric way of analyzing the stats, folks. All right, that is all the stats. I hope you all had enjoyment from them, or at least some shock and awe value, because
right.
it's fun.
Let's spend 5 minutes. Anthony, as an outsider, talk to us about Liam's list. What the fuck?
I mean, it's pretty much the same as last time, right? It's not that crazy. Like what it
I know.
does is pretty simple, and we have a lot of tape of him doing it, and it looks.
As our resident CSM expert, I want you to tell the people at home if they're gonna bandwagon, if they're gonna try to copy the best list in the game, what should they do? Go on,
Okay.
just no, you gotta roll with it. Just take it and go.
No, I'm not going to.
It's the yes and podcast. Go.
No, it isn't, because I hate when stuff like this happens. And the biggest, like the reason I'm such a negative bitch on the show sometimes, and in general, such a vocal voice online, is that it drives me insane when people are like, but the list is good and I'm losing all my games. And sometimes the answer to that is that the list actually isn't very good, and that the person playing it is just a baller gangster. Now, what we have here is not exactly that. We have elements of that for sure. What Vets of the Long War is a really straightforward combined arms Warhammer with a little bit of help from sustained full indirect ignore cover AP2 damage to indirect, which when you say it in that order makes it sound a lot less bad. Because that shit is scary. So yeah, it's really good. It's a lot of really good tools that you can leverage in a bunch of different ways. Liam seemed mostly to use them to leverage his hand into his opponent's forehead, but not every time. I think that for the most part, what you're looking at is you have a detachment rule that does a fusion dance with the army rule to make you do just fucked up damage on anything. Any single individual thing in Liam's list can go from doing not a lot of damage to a whole bunch of way too much damage very quickly. In addition to that, he's taken a bunch of data sheets that have their own level of dynamic play options so that he doesn't need them to do more damage, right? His data sheet, his army rule, and his detachment rule have that covered. So he plays stuff like Warp Talons, like Chosen, long-range guns like Predators, things of that nature. You know, the plays with the Rhinos that he has access to using the Noise Marine unit. All of that kind of come together to mean that his list is dynamic, does a ton of damage, has a bunch of different units in it with different jobs, and in general is just quite strong. It lacks in a couple of ways. In general, it doesn't have a lot of OC. It definitely, if you blunder any of the tools that are meant to do a certain thing, if that thing then shows up afterwards, you're fucked. There is no second answer. If at some point someone would have just killed his incorrectly based bikes, he had nothing to hold his natural with. But
I tried so hard.
Yes, that's true. You did put in a god's honest effort into those bikes, and they just told you no. But yeah, it's really good. I think it's not... Obviously, it's not unstoppable. I do not think it's the best list in the game. I think if it was someone other than Liam playing it, I don't think it would have broken into the top, into the 5-0s, right?
And this is not the first time we've seen Liam play a list that like mere mortals couldn't play anyways,
and it's made
right?
me do this last time.
I know.
Because it's basically the same list. It's doing the same things.
I'm gonna be honest. If it's the same thing with my Stormont list, right? Realistically,
Yes.
it's not really a good list, but it can get there, and just probably shouldn't.
Right.
All right.
But there's a lot of that right now. You can take stuff that's like optimal adjacent and be fine because things are broadly balanced pretty close together.
Fair enough. And yeah, I think the common joke, and Kelly touched on it just now, is that it's two combat. It's like a combat patrol and a couple star
It's
collections.
the alt title on the thumbnail of this episode is "Or How a Combat Patrol Won the Largest Singles Event Ever." So
Yeah.
There you go.
Kyle getting buffed and standing up after the activation, after Liam had already committed to playing this list, was quite funny.
That's true. Yeah, and it is worth noting that like lots of people probably have lots of experience playing against like the Bile leading Chosen Brick, but it is like the Vets one is one of the better ones. So
Yeah, with giving that thing a reactive move and AOC access and fight first access is quite nasty.
and the rerolls do help a lot, like more than most of the other output buffs. Like Renegades doesn't have shit on what Vets does for this unit.
Yeah,
Unless your opponent is kind enough to stand
it's
on
so
top
much
of
harder for it
objectives.
to be scary in Renegade, right?
What'd you say?
Like it's so much harder for it to be scary. Its reactive move is harder to use. Its rerolls is harder to use.
Yeah. So, yep.
All right. I suppose it's time to do the plugs, and then we can do show questions.
Woohoo.
We got a bunch.
Oh, fantastic! That's my favorite. This is my favorite thing to do when I was asleep before this episode. Uh, I've been napping. All right, guys. If you are an hour and a bit into the show, you're probably enjoying it enough to help us out a little bit. You could leave a like, a comment, or subscription on the YouTube channel. Any of that stuff really does help us out with making sure that more people can see us and that we can continue to grow and bring you guys the content and the stats and all that stuff you want. Every single like is a one more game that Jeremy will check the list to see if it's the right faction for. So yeah, please do help us out there. If you're in a position to support us a little bit more and you would like to engage with us a little bit, you want to chat with us in the Discord, you want to take part in the Vibe Check TTS leagues, anything like that, you can check out patreon.com/statcheck or check out the YouTube memberships below. $5 a month will get you access to our Discord server. $15 a month gets you access to special shoutouts at the end of the show and all that stuff in between. So yeah, please do check that out if you are in a position to support us a little bit more. If you want to hear even more from StatCheck, you can check out youtube.com/StatCheck. You can find all of our back episodes. There's 154 of them now, plus a bunch of bonus content, all the bonus stuff that I make, the bonus stuff that Anthony will be doing with POW coming up, and all the other shows on the network, like End of the Matrix and Take All Comers, who are the ones that are currently actively recording, as well as back episodes of all of the other shows. If you would like to hear from any of our sponsors, you can check out all the links in the description below. That's G15 Games. I had the widgets at LGT, and I think all of my 9 opponents, 9 of them asked me where I got them because they were fantastic. And you should definitely check them out. You can check out Saltar Games. You can check out Red Dragon, who helped Scary get out to who helped Scary get out to the LGT. Scary was on the commentary team with Joe after he didn't make it out of the Swiss and all that kind of stuff. What else do we have? And then we also have Whale Jutani, who do make the wonderful inimicable WTC terrain, which is so much better than any other terrain format. And I highly recommend you check it out. But other formats do exist.
Yep.
If you want to work with any of us, including the wonderful, wonderful Liam VSL or Nassim Chain, the man that held him closest, was one of the men that held him the closest at the event, myself. If you want to work with Pumbaa on teams, Pumbaa helped the team get to 8th place at Challengers Cup, which is one of the biggest team events in the world. All that kind of stuff. Check out stat-check.com/coaching or drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com. I've definitely been neglecting the inbox the last couple of days because I've been so busy, but I'll be checking it out there. If you want to work on anything, drop us a message. We would love to help you out. Otherwise, let's move on to the show questions, where, as always, there are 3 ways to get your question answered on the show. One is to just ask a really good question in the chat. We'll get to you if we get to you. The second is to leave a super chat like Cannon Rush has, which wants 5 minutes of uninterrupted insights from Emperor's Children. Based on Anthony's rates, 5 minutes is going to get you. We'll get him to talk about it for a minute. That's Anthony's rates. $5 for a minute is all you're getting on the live show, man. And then the last one is to be a member of our Patreon Discord and ask a question in the show today. But let's start off. Cannon Rush has sent us $5 as a super chat for please give us 5 minutes of uninterrupted insight to Emperor's Children. Anthony, why are Emperor's Children getting better?
So Disflux kind of hit the broader stroke here is that like there's 2 EC in the top 10, but no World Eaters or Death Guard. They were being, and I'm going to use big air quotes here, big air quotes, held down to like a near 50% win rate before by Knights and Death Guard, right? And then once those things that were genuine insane challenges, right? Like John got, destroyed at WTC. Like no quarter, no skill expression, die in the round against Austria. With that being removed and what was already a pretty strong army, there was a lot of room for this to get a lot better. Add that to the meta largely moving into a place where it's focusing on like melee pressure, dynamic play options. There's a lot more skill expression around. In general, the room for Emperor's Children to just like, between the legs, ball and stunt on its opponents with the fact that it gets to be where it wants, when it wants, doing what it wants is so, so good. And it's so good at dealing damage. People are like, we got this like turbo wrong. Like we saw the book early, like, the leaks and stuff between all that and like people with Indias and such. Like everyone was like, oh, it doesn't seem like it's going to do damage. And then we started putting it on the table and we were like, we have made a terrible mistake. It's just so good. It's just it's like if I was gonna play singles right now, I would absolutely be playing like a triple Prince coterie.
Yeah. I like the version that Boris took to top 4 LG or to third place LGT. Was he swapped out the third Rhino for that he was playing before for the three Flawless Blades, which really helped with his big stuff matchup because he was just attaching Lucius to the Flawless Blades to help them like have a thing that could hunt down a knight instead of playing like Molovines and stuff like that, which I thought was an interesting way of approaching it.
Yeah, I mean, I went back to triple Prince, and that's been just like the beats. So, because you can get all the good enhancements now, which is pretty tight. So the thing I've been playing is basically triple Prince. The Warlord has Mortal Pain. One of them has the Flip. One of them has the Res. 3 Exultants, a Cacophonist, 3 Infractors, 2 Tormentors, 2 Rhinos, 3 Noise Marines list.
Just not playing Lucius anymore for the third Prince.
And you just don't have Lucius.
Yep.
You don't have Rhino. You have a third Prince. Lucius is a bastard, but there are definitely a fair few Emperor's Children games where you put him up somewhere and then you're like, oh, he's just gone. That just doesn't happen.
He is just a man. Yeah.
Yeah, that just does not happen with the princes. I've never in my life been like, oh, that EC Prince kind of just died. No. At least
I have.
it never happened to me piloting as or against. Like, even you watched that game I played against Bruce. That game was a mess. And still, the princes were like, a tank shock, a grenade, a multiple activation, shoot it with a Mauler Fiend, this, that. And then they died.
A Storm Raven. Hell yeah.
Sure. But also, if someone lets you shoot their princes with the Storm Raven without getting a bunch of value out of them first, they're probably a European person playing Emperor's Children because they play it wrong.
All right, let's do questions before Anthony insults everyone else. I have 2 quick things to shout on the YouTube chat. Thank you to Kier Cotero for becoming a YouTube member and the $2 super chat that we did earlier for Custodes. And thank you to Poop Smash for the $20 for making his wife laugh. Thank you very much.
It's the best name in YouTube. That's easily the funniest name I've seen in chat.
It's pretty good.
It's the all caps really got me because I just looked at it at a glance and I was like, what? Oh!
All right, Nathan, I want to answer some questions.
Gustavo has the first question, which is how to defeat Tall Man. How can taking French classes improve my 40k skills? I
truly do think that just getting in more reps against good players is the best thing to do, right? Those guys, like, I think it's really important to not understate how much the French coming out of WTC and then immediately going to the qualifiers kept all of them at the bleeding edge of trying to keep good at Warhammer because they were trying to win the French qualifiers.
Yeah.
Like, those guys came straight out of there and were like, hey, so we have the second most important 8-man team event of our lives right now. And then LGT like 2 weeks after. Like, yeah, no shit, they were on form. Like, Yohai were scrimming last 2 weeks ago. they were doing 8-man scrims to prep for French qualifiers. Duh. Of course they were good.
Then Endymion has a super chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Innes and Anthony, to some degree, since he wrote it, would your LGT list work on GW terrain for an average player to go 4-1 at a normal to small GT?
I cannot overstate to you how much the game plan with our army was. All right, man, it's turn 2. They overcommitted because they had to, because otherwise they had to screen the Raven out from cleaning their house. So now Guilliman and Calgar get to go and do it instead. And then the Raven just flits around the sides. Yeah, no, 100%. You could win any GT on the planet with that army.
You do have to be a little careful because the list is a thing top players are bad about calibrating for is how much harder lists are to play with very little trash in them. Because we have an excellent sense of like priority and what needs to happen and board states and control. And if you don't have that, it gets a bit thin to do stuff with. I can tell you this because I am not Innis. And even though I wrote the fucking list, I tried to help someone play it on Sunday and gave up and moved them to AdMech instead. So I would say to just be cautious if you're going to go in empty on it.
Look, you should, if you're going to play that list, get real comfortable that there's going to be one of your vehicles that's going to sit in a corner and contribute at 36-inch range, and the rest of it's going to press W. And that can go forward. You can go forward one with that without it being much more complicated. Sit the intercessors on your home objective. Put the hammer strike, put a hammer strike or a redemptor and the lone up lieutenant on your expansion, and then push through the center. And it won't go that wrong. It's hard for it to go that wrong.
Yeah, look, again, even to Brian's point, I get it. My World Eaters list has 3 units you get to fuck around with. And even then, that fucking around better be correct fucking around. So, like, I understand. I'm just saying it's easy to underestimate.
Coming off of World Eaters onto this list, they felt very similar, like, thematically.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, I got an Incarcer squad and a Lone Up Lieutenant. That's very similar to 3 squads of Spawn.
It's very similar.
Then we
Okay.
we
And
also
then
have a
another project
$4.99
yeah.
from Ben, which is
We're going back
since
to
we are go-
Mechlin. First drink at Bar Popular. A round that will cost too much money because it will be for 30 people. Seems to be the usual.
Pineapple juice and rum. If you find me at an event and it's not the WTC and I can drink, pineapple juice and rum is my drink.
Apple juice and vodka also a solid contender.
Oh, yes, I also like that.
Mhm.
Ennis
All right.
knows my drinks well. He's been around for the 2 drunkest times I've ever been, so...
All right, Pierce has the next question from the Patreon Discord, which is, what are you thinking of the new Dark Eldar? Anthony.
I think it's super fun. I'm actually, like, genuinely jazzed to, like, make a video about it with Pow, partially because I like spending time with Pow, partially because the new book is genuinely fun. I got to have Drazar and, like, 2 or 3 homies dunk a Brutalis. That was sick. Like, I, like, actual yelled in the store. I was like, let's go! When it happened. I was so excited. that he
Drazar
was
killed
back.
something.
Yeah. But, you know, there's definitely some issues around the edges. I have no, as a great example to a couple minutes ago, I have no fucking clue. Just zero idea what the game plan would be into EC. Other than just, like, get hit till you're dead. Which will probably be somewhere in and around turn 2 or 3.
Yeah,
Similarly, I feel like the game plan into World Eaters is not super comfortable. So, I don't know. It seems pretty good. It's not like God's gift to Warhammer. But if you were playing Drukhari already, and now you're going to be playing Reaper's Wager, and it's going to be pretty similar, and you just don't have your court anymore. And that sucks. But, like, a lot of it is genuinely better. Malice was great, though. She was really cool.
And your 18 Reavers.
And my 18 Reavers. Huge fan of the 18 Reavers. That part was awesome.
Where do they go? 26 and
24.
24.
They're literally
26
Lycus's
is
unit.
difficult.
All,
Yeah.
You have 3 of Lycus's unit. It's dope.
Things shouldn't get to move 24. Shouldn't be allowed. Just you shouldn't get to do it.
Yeah. Look, fair enough.
The boards are too small for 24 to move, GW. I need you. I'm looking at you, directly at you, Josh, when I say nothing should really get to move faster than like 15 in a phase anymore. I just don't think 15 should be about the limit. That's a quarter of the board. That's enough.
I agree.
Thank you, Kylar DM, for the $2 from chat. What's scary in AdMech now? Units/detachment.
Yes.
Infiltrators, Rust Stalkers, Breachers, Destroyers, Call, Iron Striders,
All
Disintegrators,
The
Rangers,
transport's dope.
Vanguard,
Yeah.
Sky Stalkers, Sterilizers.
Yeah.
Everything that, sounds like
Cataphons.
everything that sounds medical. I said Destroyers and Breachers already, Nathan. Keep up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry there.
The admin names intimately? Fucking
No, I do not. All right. Jeff, Death Company Forklift, has the next question, which is aspect host
Probably
seems
not
to be
Stellans. I should. Yeah, I definitely should.
notably
No,
not
not
Castellan
those.
robots.
Yeah, those didn't make it.
Well done. Admech are cool. Not you.
Fair. Aspect host seems a bit too good right now. Is there some elegant way to bop them down to a healthy state? Or do Fire Dragons and Fuegland simply get removed from the game until GW can figure out their next codex?
It's not Aspect Host.
I think it's just Star Engines, bro.
Yeah, honestly.
Sure.
Like Star Engines should just be Star Engine should count as advancing. Like or it
Probably.
should like Star Engine you shouldn't be allowed to disembark after you Star Engines or something. Like something needs to happen with that.
Star
God
Engine should
damn.
count as advancing. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, your advance goes like make it flat 7 and just like it's instead of advancing, right? You advance flat 7 instead of advancing
Sure.
D6. I'd be cool with that.
8 and Warhost. Woo.
Fucking sick. You'd be so good at scoring.
Yeah.
All right. Tom H has the next question, which is, since Lilith is canonically straight edge, should she be unaffected by combat drugs? She is canonically straight edge. She doesn't do combat drugs.
That's not what I
Does
heard.
that make
but
her straight edge? I feel like
Yeah.
that's not what straight edge means.
I think straight edge is that you don't drink
doesn't do
or do
drugs.
drugs. Yeah, that's straight edge. You don't drink or do drugs.
Yeah, I think she should be unaffected. I think that's fine.
Canonically she doesn't, but canonically I also think she just like performs down to everybody's level so they don't feel bad as Drukari, and so she just goes up a level to make
I
everybody
think
feel
that's how Liam feels sometimes.
I'm sure.
I think that's how Liam feels often, right?
Fair. All right. Henry the Wizard has the next question, which is Eric Lothuris had great success with Swarm Tyranids at Challengers Cup. Does this mean Innis will start playing Nids again so the 40K community can once more credit him for defining the meta?
Yeah,
With
fuck
luck.
it.
Did Eric
I
Lothuris
could steal
secretly write
I could
this
steal Eric
comment?
Thunder again.
Yeah.
I could steal Eric's Thunder again. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
It would be. You should do that, actually. All right.
I don't
Rickard has
look,
the next.
if someone wants to pay for me to buy another 90 Spine Fist Gaunts, I'll do it. But I'm not buying them myself.
There you go, chat. That's the
Fair.
price. If 90 Spine Fist Gaunts show up at Innis's
It's
door,
not
then,
even a lot.
then he'll play the Swarm.
I will do it. I will do it, and I won't even complain that hard.
You will complain a lot. Don't lie.
I'll complain about painting them, but I will. But if they show up, I'm not buying them myself, though. I'm just not doing it.
All right, there you go.
There you go. That's the price to make Innis play Swarm Tyranids. All right. Rickard, that's not even a lot. That's a low bar.
Let
Rickard
Anthony
has-
build your Nids list.
This is in it. Anthony is just going
I'm in my-
all of
letting Anthony
Innis's
write my
tournament
list.
performances from now on.
Innis is gonna have to move 100 gargoyles around a board, and he's gonna come find me and beat me to death with his newfound fitness.
I'm telling you, dude. I think 100 gargoyles might be secretly the best list no one ever plays because no one's willing to do it.
Yeah, that's
No one will ever
likely
know.
true. It's
No one
just
will
a
ever
better
know.
version of Swarm Host of Ascension, isn't it?
No
Like,
one
it
will
doesn't do
ever know.
damage, but whatever.
No one will. No one needs to know that.
Nobody wants to
yeah.
play them.
I'm out here trying to be living proof that you don't need to be good at list writing to win tournaments, right? Just play the thing that's good and do well with it. It's okay.
It may not even be that good.
Fucking who knows? I meant the World Years list. Just copy the best list.
Sure.
And just play it, right? Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel to win Warhammer games. It's okay to just play the good thing.
Rickard has the question, which is: we have 2 editions of data that show Imperial Knights getting army-wide advance and shoot is real good. Meanwhile, the first weekend with a book Valor Strike has a 39.8% win rate. Do you think Imperial Knights players got too used to monkey brain, feel no pain?
I have thoughts on Valor Strike, which is that I think everybody saw the super exciting version and was like, "Oh, let's try it." Played like 2 TTS games with them, was like, "This is sick," and then they nerfed it and were like, "Oh, I'll try some other stuff instead," because everybody like got used to was like tried to really stick to the stupid version and then got it taken away from them. And was like, "Well, now I don't want to do that because I've got to try the good version and now I have to play this and it's not that."
Yeah. I think people just need to play the mentor detachment and be done with it. And just have fun with that.
I don't even think there's anything wrong with Valor Strike. I just think that it's about as good as Quester Companions.
Yeah. I do also think people probably have to get more used to their army no longer having feel no pains. I think that's just a thing. You need to have reps with your army not having them.
I think that's not big a deal.
Yeah.
Like it's.
I think it's
annoying,
I think it's a bigger deal to people who aren't UNS.
Yeah, you're sleeping on what percentage of people's win rate comes from like, oh God, I lived, haha, die.
I won't lie. Sometimes my wins do live on that. Like the time 3 Neophyte bricks opened up on a Bloodthirster and it was alive at the end of it. And I was like, damn, those 4 pinfall saves are great.
Yeah. I beat Nathan that one time because that cultist lived through those pyrovores.
No. Yeah, that is definitely why you won that game.
All right, guys.
All right, next question is from Isaac, which is: who do you think will win LVO, and or what army will win?
I'm back. I got to back not Folger because Folger's trying to catch me to the ITC. So I'm rooting for everyone but Folger.
I was gonna say Folger with lightning speed, and then you said like a syllable first, and I was like, I'll let him go first.
I'm rooting for Skari to win LVO. I want Skari to win. I want Skari to win the LVO after LGT marathon flight that Skari is doing.
Let's start with Skari winning his game 1, right? Before we get to
One step at a time.
Sure, one step at a time. But
Love you,
I want
buddy.
Skari to win LVO.
I'm rooting for Fluff.
Fluff's a good one.
I got
appreciate
Folger's
Floof.
back. Corncob Chris is gonna
I
take
think
it down.
Folger's the most likely, but I'm rooting for Fluff.
You guys, no one's got shit on Corncob Chris. You guys aren't ready.
I don't even know
Fair.
who's going to LVO. If I'm being honest.
Me either, but I know they're not ready for Folger.
Ben
so
Jones. Let's go. Let's get a UK winner.
get out of here.
We can't win our own tournament, but we'll win theirs.
Can't win that either.
I hope someone just sent Liam over. Just
That'd
like
be
pay for
fucked.
Liam's flight.
Yeah,
That'd be very funny. Wins both the largest back-to-back tournaments.
Oh,
Amazing.
that'd be tough.
All right. Isaac has a second question, which is how well will I do at LVO?
3 and 2.
I'm gonna give you a firm 3-1-1.
It's 6 rounds, so that'd be
Oh,
really
I know.
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
4-1-1. There you go.
I think you're gonna get way too invested in the amazing food Ben's gonna introduce you to, and then suffer and go 4 and 2, 4 and 1, dropping for a 4 and 1 dropping for a massage.
If I can't have Skari, I would have Ben Jurek as the winner as my second best bet. There you go. Those are my two.
Mark Hertel's not going, right?
I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know who's
Mark
on
Hertel's
the
going. I'm
LVO.
picking Mark because you know what's your defensive profile remains the best way to play Warhammer.
And the third question from Isaac is looking for a big win list for 5-man WTC teams. Any recommendations? Is it if it's AdMech, is it Hunter or Halo?
I like
John's,
Halo.
John's
but
playing
Richard,
EC, right? You should do that.
I like Halo better than Hunter Cohort, but I don't know the faction very well, and Richard just destroyed the weekend with Hunter Cohort, so
Fair. All right. The Bodazifa asks the next question, which is why is the best man on the Australian team a French man? Can only the French win in teams?
pretty sure Eric's Greek.
There you go. That's the answer to that question. Eric can correct us and say if he is Greek or French. There you
No,
go.
Eric's Greek. They're talking about Alex, I'm pretty sure.
Fair.
I'm just being a
There you
shit.
Fair enough.
That one might have been too deep of a cut, but
That
that was
was
fine.
way
that
too
was
deep,
too
yeah.
deep. I was like, damn, I don't know.
I thought you were talking about Alex Engels, though. So okay,
No,
Jesus,
Terrence.
man, we're going.
All right, well, move on.
All right. Geoff has the next question, which is recently at a tournament, a player sacked defend stronghold for an extra CP so they could use a -1 damage strat during my upcoming turn to ensure a win. This blew my mind because I felt like that was a level of thinking about the game that I have not really encountered. So my question is, what's the difference between a good player and being some of the best? There's a lot of content to build strong fundamentals, but not very much advanced tactics in quotation marks out
I
there.
have strong opinions about this.
Go for it. This is your
You should do it.
topic then.
The biggest difference between strong fundamentals and consistently wins is context-based decision making that content cannot teach you. And so a large majority of the community falters in this space. When they're trying to make the jump between the different levels, you have to understand that most of what happens in a game between high-level players is stuff that happens and only happens in that fucking game and does not have anything prior to that game to prep them for, to prep based on that for, outside of other experiences against high-level players, but it's mostly decision to decision making, and it's part of what makes 40K, in my opinion, worthwhile competitive outlet, is that you get to test that decision making against what is just like, all right, that happened in the game. So you have to find a way to build the heuristics around the decision making.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately that makes a ton of sense, right? It is very much, hey, when is it right to defend stronghold for a CP? In that context, is very much based on, well, how important do you think having that -1 damage strat is? That is going to be different this game compared to next game, right? It's very much based on how ahead or how behind are you? What other resources do you have to cover that? What could you do with the 1 CP that you couldn't do with 2? Or what could you do with 1 CP instead of doing that with 2? Is it good enough to be worth the 3 points, right? All those things that kind of go into that. And just having a level of confidence that you can like back your decisions and trust them is ultimately more important. I think as a top player in that situation, you could justify either of those decisions. It's always going to be down to the individual moment to moment.
I think people underestimate taking a second to think about everything. And sometimes if you're not all the way established with every single heuristic and like being able to make a very quick, confident decision, it's really okay to take like 20 or 30 seconds off your clock or even a minute or two off your clock just to think about something for a minute before making a decision. Like when Anthony tried to convince me not to pyropod it on that one turn. If I had actually taken a minute or two to think about that instead of slamming a button, I probably would have made a better decision in that moment.
And I mean, even just stuff like that, like where do you need to take, where do you have clock time is a finite resource. Where do you need to spend that clock time to make sure you're making the best decision? And where is it okay to get a good enough decision but preserve some clock time? Is a contextual moment-to-moment decision that you will have to make as a top player, right? Like all of this shit comes together.
All
Yep.
right. Then the next question I think is actually really interesting. John has the next question. Preteen son is now 0-12 at our local RTTs with an average of 40 victory points. Obviously, as his dad, I know nothing and have no useful advice to give. Ellipses. Any advice for a disheartened kid desperate to win his first competitive game?
If Innes is comfortable with it, I'm too flush with coaching right now, but I will pay Innes to give you some of his times to get that kid over the line to win some stuff.
There you go.
He's got to take a minute to plan his turns. Just, hey, what do I want to have happen right now? And make sure that he's like following through on a plan. And if his plan doesn't work, then he's got something that he can look back at and go, okay, I tried something. This was what I tried to do and it didn't work. What was my plan wrong? Was my execution wrong? Was my, like, did I not have the right tools available? Right. It gives you something. If you just go into your turn and you're like, hey, let's just see what happens. It's really hard to trace that back to like the actionable points in your decision making to go, okay, what went wrong, right? Because you can look at that and go, well, all my stuff didn't do any damage this turn. It's like, okay, but did you try to do too much damage? And if you didn't like plan that turn out, it's really hard to trace it back. So take some time, take a pad of paper and sit down and jot down this turn. I want this, this, and this to happen. And I need this, this, and this to happen. I have these tools to do it. Okay. And then when you can look back at the note and go, okay, did it work or didn't it work? Well, it didn't work. Okay. What was the disconnect? Where was the disconnect? And if you just sit there and you're like, I don't think there was anything wrong. I think the dice screwed me. Well, then, if you built the best one you could, maybe you did. You probably didn't.
So
Maybe
it
you did.
goes.
Maybe you did build the best one, Maybe you could have won the game on a 2-inch charge with a reroll, and it was the best line available to you. And, sick, dude. That's going to work 1,295 of your 1,300 games or 1,296 games, but it won't work in all of them. And if you hit that double one, shit happens, right?
Yep.
But it's very rarely going to be that likely that it was purely your decision, purely your dice, right? So,
and as a not immediate solution, one of the things you should do and recommend is like take that notebook and like actually take notes during your game of what does and doesn't work. Like even if you don't come up with a plan, like take notes on your game and like what happens and when. It's really easy post game to think about your decision making and not actually remember all the details of it. And it's good to take notes, maybe take some pictures of just stuff to review afterwards, kind of look at your decision making in hindsight with evidence so you can like go through it and see where you made
40K is a game that takes a long time to play. It's not like, if you can play 30 games of chess on live chess or chess.com in the time it takes you to play one game of 40K, and you can have the bot review it for you and do all that stuff. Like 100%, you can do all that stuff. 40K is a game that you have to put your own learning in. You have to learn it over time. And it takes a lot longer to do it. So the more that you can just do that review process, the more you can judge those games for yourself, the quicker it is to accelerate that growth. But it's also worth remembering that anything like this, if someone said, I've played 12 games of Counter-Strike or League of Legends or Dota or whatever, or Rocket League or whatever video game you played. I played 12 games. I've lost them all playing games. People who've been playing this game for years. They'd be like,
You'd be like,
yeah, dude,
right.
of course you have. That's completely normal. You need to put some work in and practice and, learn some stuff. Like, that's part of the process. I also appreciate that being 12 is not the time of your life for forward thinking and, understanding that kind of stuff. So,
But it's a good time to start practicing it.
Certainly is.
Makes the rest of life a lot easier.
You're not going to have a lot of free time, not as much free time as when you're 12 a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about learning those skills, like Anthony said. Like perseverance is a skill you'll need throughout your life, and it's a good time to learn it. All right. Aaron Imperial S. Nice has the next question, which is any London cafe recommendations? Winky face. Brian
is literally in the Stat Check Discord. Go to the off-topic channel, tag him, and ask, and he will tell you happily.
One of the I don't want to tell the story, and I'm not going to do it. No, that's fine.
All right, nailed it.
All right.
Honestly, I was thinking about it. I decided that I don't want to do it. So
nailed it. Next.
I enjoyed my stop in the Bad Moon Cafe. Actually, you should just go there.
Get
coffee and a treat, and then go play 40K. Have an enjoyable experience. There's also in the Patreon Discord a literal pin of a bunch of stuff Google mapped with restaurant recommendations now in London. So you should use that.
Nailed it.
All right, Luke G has the next question. Who is less okay balanced, G-Man or Calgar? Is if you're only taking one, which one is the one you take?
What? Why
Calgar,
would you?
Calgar's unit has more of an impact on the area he's in. G-Man has more of an impact on the game as a whole. So are you struggling with like the wider game plan, or are you struggling with winning firefights?
It
Because if you're
also
struggling with winning like an individual firefight, Calgar's better at solving that problem because he bees a place and he bees there a long time. Gulliman is better at being like, yeah, dude, my whole army just does more damage now.
it's worth noting that in the space of only taking one, Rebute does not change at all when you don't take Calgar, but when you don't take Gilliman, Calgar gets quite a bit better. So
Daniel P has the next question, which is the Thousand Suns back to running a lot of trash units to protect the sorcerers again? And whose list should I copy?
30 Rupert Terminators, play Malta's list. Come on. What do we do?
There you go.
I don't know what you're supposed to do on Thousand Suns.
Suffer and die, I think, is the...
Play 3 Mutalisks again. It'll probably be fine. People will fail that stat check with great regularity.
3 Mutalisks, Magnus, and like 2 Sorcerer Squads and some Chaff. It's probably still pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's not going to be exciting, but it'll be fine.
Yeah. Alternative Clover, also known as Ian. Now that we're almost done with the relevant last tournaments of 10th,
Whoa!
we've got a long time left in 10th, actually.
Another year.
Like another 9 months.
Yeah.
Almost a year. Now that we're almost done with the relevant last tournaments of 10th, what is every host's best recommendation for how to prepare for a theoretical 11th edition next summer?
Just wait. You can't. There's nothing to do. Buy more of the range for the army that you play and have it painted and ready to go. That's as close as you're going to get.
The only thing you could develop that will be relevant for 11th edition between now and 11th edition is your ability to make decisions in a game. That is the bit that you should be working on, is how good can you get? It does not ultimately matter how good you are at the list you're playing or anything like that, but how good are you at making decisions, making the right risks, planning your turns best. The metrics around how you do it will change, but the skill set that you're developing doesn't change. So focus on learning to be a better player for the next 9 months. If you want to get as good as you can in advance of 11th edition, that's what you want to be challenging. How are you making decisions? Are you planning your turns well? Are you allocating your resources appropriately? Are you taking healthy risks? Are you, pushing your advantage when you have them? Are you minimizing your disadvantage when you don't? Right, and trying to find the opportunities to get as good as you can get, because that skill set will not change until 11th edition, because it's the core of playing Warhammer. It's been the same since I started playing in 5th edition.
Yep. I agree with Anthony. Paint your range, and also within it, practice your basics and fundamentals. All right. Sean has the next question. And Isaac, if you want to get your question answered, you got to finish writing it. I know it's my turn to cope now, but how much of AdMech's performance is tied to it being high investment, low representation army a la GSC? We're going to see stats come back down when people actually know what to expect / get reps in. I have one thing I want to say, and then Anthony, you can do it. I promise.
Sure.
That army almost tripled in representation in a single weekend, and people have played against AdMech and its gun stuff before. It's changed a bit, and AdMech is a rare faction, but it is not like super tricksy nonsense like what you get in GSC.
It's the same answer to this every single time, which is it's probably fucked up and it's low rep, high investment. It can be both.
Look, for what it's worth, last weekend, if we sort by player pop, AdMech wasn't even like that low.
Yeah,
it's not.
It was at 3%,
which is a fairly common number.
The same as Thousand Suns, the same as Space Wolves, the same as Blood Angels, more than Emperor's Children, the same as Orcs and Grey Knights, more than Drakari, more than Leaks of Votan. Like, I don't know what you want from an army to just be like, hey, it is one of the armies in the metagame. The same. If you were thinking about Blood Angels when you built your list, you should be thinking about AdMech, because they brought the same goddamn numbers.
I'll also say that I think we exist in a day where people see an army get good, and the next weekend they're ready with it almost always now.
Yeah.
Like there is hobby lag, but it's not as defined as it used to be, in my opinion. And a lot of people have multiple armies.
Some people will choose not to play AdMech because they do not want to go over the hobby burden. But a whole bunch of people have 3D printers, and a whole bunch of people have a friend with half an AdMech army that they can borrow. And
yeah, it's pretty easy to get around the insane MSRP of AdMech these days.
Yep. And I will say, if you look at the player participation, it's backed is backed up. Like we went from a 1% ish to an almost 3% army representation in like one slate
Do
weekend.
we have
Basically,
a player population by time graph? We should get one of those.
we can put one together.
We should have like a stacked bar that's like every army in the game, and then it shows what the changes. We should have that on the dashboard.
I think we can do that. I think it would have to be a new tab, and I'll talk to Jeremy.
I
and to
think
Cliff,
so.
and
Yeah,
we
no,
can figure out an
100%. I'm just
implementation of it.
volunteering you guys for more work, but I think it'd be interesting.
I know.
to see.
I see. I know what you're doing, and it would be interesting, but I also hate it, and I don't want anybody to need to do it. All right. Isaac has the last question because he did finish typing it before I said there were no more questions. And it is, how do you avoid burnout with competitive 40K? What do you do when your army gets nuked? I think it's okay to take a break.
Playing.
I think it,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What I've done in this zone before is that I just try and play the game using like via playstyle rather than faction. And there's an element of like privilege that goes along with this, right? I can borrow if I need to. And that helps a lot, right? Trying to own multiple is not always going to be financially viable for everyone. If it is, sick. If not, it's worth shopping around a bit to try to find some homies that you can borrow from. It is worth noting that often in the StatCheck Discord, people be trying to get rid of armies at real get the shit out of my house prices. So if you're looking for a backup, that often you can get away with some pretty good deals in there.
yeah. I will say, like, it is okay to just step away for a little bit. Like, go do something else. For a little while, go read a book, go touch grass, take up another hobby. There are like lots of things that you can do while you take like a little vacation from what you're doing.
Right.
And it's okay to do that. Like 40K should not be like the sole obsession of your life all the time, unless you're making a career out of it, essentially, which is what Ines is doing. Obviously.
You do not have to engage with Warhammer 100% of the time. Now, there is a degree of sunk cost with Warhammer, and I don't mean that in like the sunk cost fallacy way, but like all my friends are Warhammer players now, right?
Yeah.
Like the way that I engage with my friend group is by talking to them about Warhammer.
Yep.
I have a very real like, hey, if I wanted to take a week off of Warhammer, I would just not speak to people. And, you know, your mileage may vary on how enjoyable you would find that process.
Yeah, I don't. People say this all the time. They're like, Anthony's so miserable between WTCs. Why does he still play? It's like, well, you know,
What's the alternative?
what else?
I like my family, but only so much, you know?
I am happy to play 40K because of its community. And it was the exact same thing when I was really into WoW. I was happy to put up with WoW and all of the downsides that go along with being a like competitive raider in WoW because I really loved the people that I played with. Same shit. That's why it's so jarring when you get a shit game in 40K because you're like, this is so far out of the normal experience. What is happening?
I will say that is one thing that I want to just like massively shout out for the UK for. I don't think I heard like there was no griping. There was no, but like there was like minor shit, but there was nothing LGT this year on the bad side really compared to how it's been in previous years and editions. It was so refreshing to just go to an event and just have like 19, like have, you know, there was some people who were like, yeah, I had a bit of a difficult game because me and my opponent didn't get on super well because we just had personality clashes. And that was about the worst of it. And if that's the worst of it, like fucking yeah, okay, people are people, right? But there was nothing outside of that. And I think that's fantastic. And I think the community's come a long way in growing that. And also just watching like the, you know, the finals games and stuff like that, and the level of like intent, camaraderie, and sportsmanship on play was incredible.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
There was a lot of like teammates playing teammates in Liam's like end of his run, so that was good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's the last question for the day. So we're done.
All right, Nathan, do you want to do your bit?
Yes, I will. All right. If you join the most expensive tier on our Patreon, which is a crisp high five, you get a number of in-person benefits, and then you get this benefit, which is me reading off thank you messages that you get to custom write for yourself. And then I read them every week after every episode. And that is one of the benefits you get. And then also I wanted to say, we also have a new show on the network, which is Sub Assemblies, which is basically just a Patreon benefit where you can watch me and hang out in a hobby stream every week on Fridays, alternating UK evenings and American evenings, basically. There you go. All right. Here are the Cult of the High Five callouts. Thank you to Christopher. If DG become Codex compliant, can they get +1 to wound 2, Irvine? Thank you to Willow Weeks. Thank you to Dan F. Thank you to Luke. Harridan's taking the subway McCarthy. Thank you to David. Luck has, need keeps, toil earns Clark. Thank you to Exhausted. Thank you to James H. Thank you to Colton Dan F. Miller. Thank you to Fungus. Thank you to John. Viet Gang. Jetlag is a hell of a drug. Thank you to Cam, F. Dan Morton, Hog Emoji, Hog Emoji. Thank you to Lady Malice's Footstool. Thank you to Josiah Gattle. Thank you to Frankie, Tylenol Maxing Fresh. Thank you to Isaac, born too late to copy Liam, born too early to copy Innes, born just in time to copy Lennon Tarada. Thank you to It Is Finally Time to Ask, Why is Data Slate? Thank you to Thomas, this space is intentionally left blank for equation. Thank you to Stephen, failed 4 out of 4. 1 was a reroll, 2 ups on Scissorass, getting poked by Biophagus Rocks.
Damn.
Thank you to Tom Wooden Spoon winner H. Thank you to It'd Be Cool if people would stop making jokes about trains and Tylenol. That is fair and reasonable. Thank you to Playing Nights at Challengers Cup, so I have enough mental space to watch the LGT stream during rounds. That is some multitasking.
That's good stuff. I mean, it's not like you were going to watch the Challenge Cup stream, so.
Thank you to I just want to play Borderlands 4, but I have stupid LVO to go win. Good luck, Floof. Thank you to Come With Me on a Gucci Adventure. Thank you to Stat Check Beach episode when. Thank you to This Space
Actually,
is blank.
there was a Stat Check Beach episode. It was Tim and Health Check. So
yes, that's true. There are pictures of there. Thank you to a person who didn't fill in their message. So I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you to Henry. Did you know there are 18 species of penguins? The Wizard. And then thank you to whoever created a new tab that just says Nathan likes big tabs and he cannot lie. That is fun.
I want to just say one thing for Floof. Watch out for Calgars. You know he advances charges, right? Just make sure you're careful, okay?
And that is all I've got. So thank you everybody for watching. You are all lovely, and I wish you all the best of luck. But Floof in particular, Benjurik in particular, and Scar in particular.
I hope everybody's ready for probably just an insufferable end of the Matrix episode sometime soon. All right, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us this week for another episode of Stat Check. We hope you all enjoyed. We shall catch you all on the next episode. We'll be back next week with hopefully some really good stuff from LVO, some episodes to start through. If you're at a tournament this week, very best of luck. Kick some ass. If you're at the LVO, go and say hi to all of the wonderful people there. But especially go and harass Benjurik because we know he loves getting people saying hi to him. This is an officially sponsored Stat Check statement. Nathan, say the thing.
Bye-bye.